Hello and welcome to the Remedy Fibers podcast, a podcast about knitting and crochet hosted by me, Jillian. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returner, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. So today I'm bringing you a new series called Spin to Sweater, where I take you step by step on the process of turning roving into a finished garment. So if you're interested, stay tuned. But if you're new here, I live in Northern California with my husband and dog Benny. I love everything yarn related and I hope you stay for my yarn journey. So recently I was able to stop by a local yarn festival called Stitches West located in Sacramento, California, and I was able to pick up some wool from Goody Supply Co. So I picked up two 4-ounce braids and this is how the wool looks. And so I'm not quite sure if this is going to be enough to make a garment, but we're gonna try. It really depends on how thin I spin and how much yardage I'm able to yield from plying. So the first thing you're gonna need is definitely fiber. Today I'm working with 8 ounces, but I might need to spin up more than that depending on how thin I spin. You also are going to need a wraps per inch tool just so you can see after you finish plying everything how thick your wool is. So did you spin a fingering weight wool? Did you spin a DK, a worsted, a bulky? That tool is going to identify more or less what size wool you have. Keep in mind you might have thick and thin. It might change throughout your yarn just because we are new beginners and it takes time to spin a consistent wool. You're also going to need a nitty knotty. Although I don't have one, I was able to find one for $10 on Etsy. So I'll include the link below if you want one. It's 3D printed, it's collapsible and easy to store. And so you need a nitty knotty to see how much yardage you actually have yielded once you plied your yarn. So the wool that I'll be spinning today is from Goody Supply Co. It is in the colorway Funfetti and it has 70% South American wool, 17.5% viscose, and 12.5% Firestar. So I'm going to take off this label and then I'm going to identify which part of the braid is the end. I think you can pull from both, but I'm just going to identify one end and start pulling and unraveling this braid. You have to undo this braid to actually start spinning with. So now that I have this not in the braid form, I'm going to take you over to my table to show you how I pre-draft my wool so it's easier for me to spin. So come along. So next up you want to find a pretty big surface so that you can lay your wool out. And what I like to do is match the ends up and make it as even as possible. So now that we have this all lined up, it doesn't have to be perfect. We are going to start splitting it into 4 sections just because it's going to make it easier when we actually start spinning on the wheel. So I'm going to start with this middle portion and you can see it's pretty thick to pull still. So I'm going to grab my scissors to cut that. So I'm just going to estimate this is how much I need. So I'm going to cut that. I'm going to cut this section. And then I have one section over here I'm going to cut. So I'm going to grab one of my sections, find the middle piece, and really all of this is just estimating, and pull it apart. And I'm going to do that for each section so that 4 become 8. If you have a scale, you can become more extreme about how much each ball weighs, but as a beginner, I'm not too concerned about that. So now that I have 8 pieces, it's still a little bit too thick for me to spin with because I need something that's going to be a little bit thinner. So now that I have 8 pieces, I'm going to again divide it. I want it a little bit thinner to make it easier to ply. So this is the length that I'm going for, so when I actually ply it, I'll show you. It'll give me more of a lace to fingering weight yarn. So now since I know this is going to be my last one, I'm going to ball it up, roll it up, so it's easy for me to store until I'm ready to spin with it. And keep in mind, this is not what you have to do. This is just how I do it. But I feel like when you're learning how to spin, people expect you to spin from the braid, or a lot of videos show you that step. But I think as a new beginner, it's really important that you pre-draft your fiber in advance. So this is how it looks after I pre-drafted the braid. I'm gonna take you over to the spinning wheel and we're gonna get started spinning. Okay. So the tools that I'll be working with today to get started, I have my flyer, which my bobbin will go on, my wool that I'll be spinning with, as well as this needle to pull the working yarn through. So first we're gonna get the wheel set up. So today we're going to be doing a Z twist. So I'm going to be spinning clockwise and then counterclockwise to ply. So the reason why I did that step to separate this and pre-draft it is going to make it much easier for me to control the spin since I am still learning. So we're just going to go ahead and get started spinning. I feel like it's pulling too tightly, so I'm going to loosen it a little bit more. Okay, it's already feeling a lot better. I feel like I have a lot more control over it. Thank you so much for joining me as I spin my fiber. I hope that you found this video helpful, and let me know any questions you have down below. I will continue to spin the rest of the fiber and come back to you when I'm ready to ply. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you and your family are happy, healthy, and safe, and I hope to see you next week. Take care. Bye.